Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel and our TNA series in TEW 2020. I, of course, am Sierra Daredevil, bringing you all of the live action as we are coming off of our double pay-per-view weekend. We had No Turning Back, and we had a Final Resolution, where we crowned a new X Division champion in Jay Lethal, who is not on tonight's show. But we've got the fallout from that show, from both of those shows tonight. So we're gonna have to see what happens. Let us start things off with a segment in front of 7,314 people at the Wax Arena. I'm not sure how you say it, wages in South Dakota. 74 rating as Samoa Joe comes out to the ring. Says that Kurt Angle put him through hell last night, or this past Sunday, whatever. But he's not he's not disappointed. He's not bothered by it. Says Kurt Angle put him through hell, but he's still standing here as the TNA World Heavyweight Champion. Kurt showed him respect afterwards, which he admires, but he is ready to move on to other things. He's ready to find, to see who else going to step up to the challenge here in TNA. And out steps Kurt Angle. Comes out from the back. Kurt says that he may have shown him respect, but if Joe thinks that he's going to move on that quickly from Kurt Angle at this point, then he's crazy. Angle says that he did pass out in the Coquina Clutch. He'll admit it. Joe was better man on that night. But that TNA World Heavyweight Championship, Kurt Angle's held it before. Kurt Angle, that's his biggest dream in this business right now, is to get that championship back. And he's not done with trying to get that championship back by a long shot. And this brings out Beer Money, surprisingly enough. Beer Money are riding high after their big victory over the Wolves this past Sunday. And Bobby Roode grabs a mic. Well, I mean, they both have mics, but Bobby Roode gets on the mic and says, it's funny, Kurt, you sit here and you bring up being a former TNA World Champion and wanting that championship back and all that. Me and James here, we're former TNA World Champions. We've held that championship before. Who's to say that we don't want it back, especially since Daredevil has barely been using us. We've had to fight our way onto the shows lately. Maybe instead of waiting for opportunities like good guys, like you should be doing here, maybe we're going to start creating our own opportunities. Maybe we just insert ourselves right into the title picture, whether either one of you like it or not. And some back and forth happens, and it ends up leading to a tag team matchup in the main event tonight, as it's going to be Beer Money taking on Samoa Joe and Kurt Angle. So that should be very interesting. Joe and Angle, obviously, just had that battle this past Sunday. Can they trust each other to be in a tag team matchup? If Beer Money win, do they get a future shot at the TNA World title? A whole bunch of questions to be asked here, but tonight's main event is going to be Samoa Joe and Kurt Angle versus Beer Money. So that should be a very, very good matchup indeed. Then we have Magnus backstage. Or not backstage, sorry. He comes out to the ring. It was like we had like a recap of the pay-per-views, and then the ring was cleared at that point, and that's when Magnus comes out, calls out Abyss, not about Abyss. He calls out Abyss. I don't know why he typed about there, but he calls out Abyss. He tells Abyss, "Listen, you lost at Final Resolution. You continue to lose, and I can't allow that. Our group cannot allow that. I fought to get you back on Team Dixie. I fought to keep you here, but now you're making me look embarrassed." And, Mike Tenay on the desk is like, "But Magnus lost at the pay-per-view as well." But, Magnus is apparently just ignoring that right now. And he says, "You have one more chance, one last chance to prove that you are on Team Dixie. Tonight, I have to go one-on-one with the former X Division champion, Roderick Strong. You make sure that I win that matchup, or else you're going to have to find yourself something else to do here in TNA." kind of insinuating that he's going to kick him off Team Dixie if Magnus doesn't win that match later tonight. 71 rating, as we'll have to see what happens with that. Then we have a matchup that sees cheerleader Melissa defeat Santana Garrett 9:38 by pinfall to Kudo Driver. 57 rating for the match, 58 for Melissa, 39 from Garrett. They have great chemistry with each other, so that's good to see. But Melissa gets the victory. Of course, she defeated Madison Rayne, albeit by underhanded tactics at No Turning Back. And speaking of that, after the match, Madison Rayne comes running out and chases off cheerleader Melissa. Very, very angry version of Madison Rayne than what we're used to. She grabs a mic from the ringside and says that if you honestly think that things are over between the two of us, then you're sadly mistaken. B word, and it bleeps it on TV, but the crowd goes crazy for it. Madison goes, things are far from done between the two of us, and I'm coming for you, whether you like it or not, and I'll show you what kind of goddamn respect you deserve. So 54 rating here, as she is clearly pissed off about the fact that she got cheated out of that victory, or that she lost to Melissa in a tainted way at No Turning Back. Then after that, Abyss is backstage, kind of looking, he's kind of looking a little confused, a little off. He just got put through an ultimatum. He has to make sure Magnus wins tonight and all that. When Daphne comes up to him, we've been seeing this kind of tease recently. Daphne simply just says, Abyss, I and the rest of us, not really specifying who she's referring to, but we all kind of got it. We would never make demands of you like that. And then Daphne walks away as Abyss watches her walk off and is just kind of confused. Not sure how to react there, but there you go. So we'll have to see if that leads to anything. But Abyss is trying to figure out what he's going to do right now. Then we get a 55 rated matchup. I knew this wasn't going to be great, especially because this was also a storytelling matchup. But in a decent matchup, Rockstar Spud defeats Mark Briscoe 907 by pinfall while using the ropes for leverage. 48 from Spud, 53 from Mark Briscoe. Of course, this is, kind of continuing on the story recently where the Briscoes won that tag title match that they'll get next week on Impact. But this week, one-on-one matchup sees one half of the tag team champions get a victory over the challengers. So momentum is on the side of the champions heading into next week's Impact and that title matchup. We'll have to see who ends up leaving with the belts. 55 rating here for this matchup. And there you go. Then after that, we get a brief little backstage segment here where the Shirai sisters, the sexy purple thunder sisters, if you will, are talking to Christy Hemme. They're being interviewed by Christy Hemme, that is. And Christy, was kind of talking about how how excited they are. She's kind of asking how excited they are about their title win at No Turning Back, becoming the new Knockouts Tag Team Champions. And, Io and Mio kind of talk up a little bit about being glad to have championships around their waist and looking forward to challengers. When Portia Perez appears, and Portia Perez says, it's funny. You two talk about, your Knockouts Tag Team Champions. You're kind of bragging right now about being the top Knockouts Tag Team in this company, but last time you guys were in a tag match with myself, you lost. Referring to, a few months ago when Perez and Mercedes Martinez defeated the Shirais. So, maybe you need to rethink about your supposed tag team glory. Maybe you need to think about whether you deserve those championships, because maybe, just maybe, I find a tag team partner to come after you guys and take those championships away from you. 40 rating here, as seems like Portia Perez wants a shot at the Knockouts tag team titles, but first she'll have to find a tag team partner. And that's if she even gets that shot exactly, but we'll have to see what that leads to. Then, in a 53 rated matchup, which is a little disappointing, but D'Angelo De Niro and Shelton Benjamin defeat the Von Erichs in 7:59 when Benjamin pinned Ross Von Erich with a T-bone power slam. 53 rating, 70 from Benjamin, 67 from De Niro, and then 31 from Ross Von Erich and 29 from Marshall Von Erich. Both teams showing excellent chemistry teaming together. 53 rating there. As De Niro and Benjamin get a victory there. This was basically just keeping De Niro, Benjamin, and MVP looking good here. Afterwards, De Niro and Benjamin are celebrating until they get run off by Austin Aries, who chases them away with the chair. Of course, Aries took a loss to De Niro at Final Resolution. So we'll have to see. Clearly shows that things are not done between the Pope and the greatest man that ever lived, as he chases him off with a chair, and we'll have to see where things go from there. Then we get a 50 rated matchup, or 50 rated segment, that is, where Roderick Strong is briefly being interviewed before his match with Magnus here in a moment. He says that he wants a rematch for the X Division Championship. He wants to fight and get his X Division Championship back. He wants to face Jay Lethal again for it, but he can't focus on that right now. He knows it's in the hands of Daredevil about whether he gets a rematch, whether he has to earn it, whatever. He wants to focus on here, now, tonight. He wants to focus on the fact that he has an opportunity to beat a former TNA World Heavyweight Champion in Magnus and really prove that he is here to shine in TNA. 50 rating here. Match itself gets a 71 rating. As in a good matchup, Roderick Strong defeats Magnus in 13:58 by pinfall with a super double knee gutbuster. During the matchup, Abyss ran in and laid out Magnus. That's right, Abyss said, "Screw you, I'm leaving Team Dixie on my own." So Abyss is no longer a part of Team Dixie. We'll have to see what that means, but 71 rating here. As Roderick Strong gets a victory over the former TNA World Heavyweight Champion, which is very impressive stuff there. 69 from Magnus, nice, and 65 from Roderick Strong, as Strong just gets himself a huge victory. He was a former X Division champion, but this might be one of the biggest victories of his TNA career so far. We'll just see where things go with that. But there you go, 71 rating for that. Then, Velvet Sky comes out, our Knockouts champion, still, after defeating Mickie James for retaining the title over Mickie James at No Turning Back. And she says that at No Turning Back, there was a battle royal, a bunch of knockouts got in there, fought it out with each other, and someone won. I don't know who the hell it was that won. Some nobody, some whoever it is. So let's get this underdog out here. Let's bring her out here. And Evie comes out. Of course, Evie's the one who won the battle royal at No Turning Back to earn a shot at the Knockouts Championship. And Evie says, I might not be as well known as you. I might not be, I might not have the accolades that you do, but that doesn't mean that I can't fight with the best of them and prove myself to you. And Velvet goes, "Didn't you finish near the bottom of the women's Knockouts Bound for Glory series this past year?" And Evie goes, "You know what? I admit it. I didn't have a lot of success there, and he got injured at one point and all that. But I'm not backing down. I'm taking advantage of this opportunity. You're not gonna be able to stop me, and I'm just gonna have to, I might just have to prove to you and everyone else that I'm worthy of getting a shot at the Knockouts Championship." So kind of interesting little stuff there. Gets a 54 rating, as it seems like it starts a storyline here. We'll have to see where things go there. Velvet invents a new catchphrase. I don't know what her catchphrase was. I didn't really come up with it during that promo for her. But there you go. 54 rating, as we're going to start building towards Velvet Sky versus Evie for the Knockouts Championship. Then after that, in a pretty good matchup here, Christopher Daniels defeats Colt Cabana in 13:51 by pinfall at the last rites, following interference from Kazarian. 66 from Daniels, 68 from Cabana, 63 rating for the match, which is a little disappointing. I think it might have been because the storyline hadn't been started yet. Yeah, lack of associated storyline. I should have started the storyline before it, but there's a new storyline that's forming with this, and it continues on with afterwards, where Cabana finds himself in a 2-on-1 situation against Bad Influence, who are, they're done with Future Shock and House of Truth at this point. They're looking for other opportunities. So they've got Cabana kind of trapped in a 2-on-1 situation until AJ Styles comes running out to make the save. Of course, Styles and Cabana have been kind of recently finding, you know, I wouldn't say a full-on alliance, but they've at least been, working together a little bit in their battles against Team Dixie. So AJ Styles comes running out to make the save, chasing off Daniels and Kazarian. So we'll have to see where things go with this. But 64 rating for this, as that's a interesting storyline that might be developing here as we head into 2015 in the game. Then our main event gets a 77 rating as Beer Money defeats Samoa Joe and Kurt Angle with 14:01 when Bobby Roode pinned Kurt Angle with a quick cradle. During the matchup, Eddie Edwards came running out because, of course, Beer Money and the Wolves are not done with each other yet at this point, it seems like. He meant to hit Bobby Roode, but he hit Kurt Angle by accident, and it caused Bobby Roode to be able to roll up Kurt Angle and get the victory. 77 rating there. 83 from Angle and Joe both. 70 from Bobby Roode and 61 from James Storm. So Beer Money getting a huge tag team victory over the current TNA World Heavyweight Champion and the man who just fought for that championship this past Sunday. So that's huge for them, as we'll have to see where things lead with that. 77 rating there. Afterwards, Joe and Angle are left in the ring, and they're a bit annoyed with each other about the loss, kind of, having some words for each other. Not full on stepping up to each other, but they are kind of having some words as Impact comes to an end. Show gets a 73 rating. I'll take it. Increase our popularity in 13 regions. Some restrictions, but that's fine. Not too bad of a show for the fallout of the pay-per-view. Strong stuff there. As we had some surprises on the show. Roderick Strong defeated Magnus. Beer Money defeated Joe and Angle. Rockstar Spud defeated Mark Briscoe. We had some upsets on this show, surprisingly. Very interesting stuff indeed. Randy Orton had a surgery, apparently. We'll be able to return much sooner than originally thought. Guess he got injured. Fellas Guy had a catchphrase. I don't know what it is. I'll have to come up with something for. 3.6 million people watching Impact this week. Let's go. NXT had a 60 rating. Had Corey Graves and Jay Bronson defeating Tyler Breeze and Hideo Itami in the main event. FIP had a 67. Saw Mr. Anderson and Brian Kendrick defeating David Richards and Dave Bautista. Ring of Honor had a 57. Saw Delirious and Alex Shelley defeat the Young Bucks. So, some very interesting stuff there. But, there you go. We are still, having success here. We are 23 in-game. We're 3 weeks out from our next pay-per-view, which is Genesis 2015. The next video in this series will obviously be the end of year stuff, which should be the end of 2014. So we'll have to see if TNA can win any awards or anything like that. We'll kind of do a little bit of a reflection on TNA over the year, see how, we're not going to look at everybody in depth, but we'll see how some of the people have kind of grown a little bit. Maybe look at some records, all that kind of stuff. So we'll kind of do that. So we'll have a recap of the year 2014, which, technically is only 8 months, but still, we'll have a recap in the next video in this series. So thank you all for watching. Definitely appreciate it. In the next episode of this series, like I mentioned, we'll have the recap of 2014. And on the channel, we'll see you in another video.